On the news tonight, Buhari removes acting accountant general of the Federation. INEC assures of fair, credible election in Osun. Gunman kills 3, wounds many at Copenhagen Mall. Good evening. The abridged major reports. It is coming your way at this period due to the live transmission of Super Falcons and Bayana match coming up in a moment. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola. President Muhammadu Buhari has replaced the recently appointed acting accountant general of the Federation, Chukwuyere Anamekwe, amid corruption allegations. Mr. Anamekwe has been replaced with Okolie Abo Ezioke Silva, a former Treasury Single Accounts Director, who will oversee the department as the civil service scrambles for a replacement. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi, has issued calls for members to apply for the vacant position in a memo titled Commencement of the Process of Appointment of a Substantive Accountant General of the Federation. She urged permanent secretaries to forward details of eligible directors to her before Wednesday. Mr. Anamekwe's removal comes amid financial impropriety posed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. It will be recalled that Anamekwe was appointed in May by Mr. Buhari after an investigation was launched against the ousted AGF Ahmed Idris over allegations that he stole and laundered more than 80 billion naira of public funds. Less than 2 weeks to the Osun State governorship election, a frontline Islamic group, Tijaniya Grassroots Mobilization and Movement Initiative of Nigeria, TIGME, has endorsed Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, for a second term. TIGME members declared their readiness to vote massively for the governor come next week, Saturday, disclosing that their members across the state had embarked on grassroots mobilization and door-to-door campaign to ensure his re-election. Here is the report.
The Islamic group said their support for Oyetola was informed by his outstanding performance, verifiable credentials, and track records in the last 3.5 years, saying he had not disappointed the state and the Muslim community. Speaking on behalf of members of the group, the national coordinator of TIGME Nigeria, Sheikh Ahmad Tijani Thani Awal, lauded the achievements of Governor Oyetola since assumption of office, noting that he had proven to the world that Muslims are responsible and responsive to be entrusted with power. He disclosed their readiness to mobilize the voting population of the group to vote in their respective domains, assuring block votes from members of the group for Governor Oyetola. He disclosed that as part of efforts to guarantee votes and ensure his re-election, the group had embarked on voter sensitization and will stop at nothing to ensure that every voting member of Tijaniya in Osun votes for the governor. The leader of the group said the aim of the endorsement was to get the governor returned for a second term. He added that the leadership of the group across the country had reached a compromise on the endorsement and are solidly behind the governor and ready to partner with him on anything, be it education, security, health, among others, so he can continue the good work. The Tijaniya clarified that they are not after money or any political interest, but the goodness of the state, because if Osun is good, everyone is good.
Pẹ̀lú wípé disappoint wa, àwa náà tó ń gba ẹnu bàbá sọ̀rọ̀ wípé àwa ló ní disappoint yín láéláé. Pẹ̀lú àdúrà àti ìkáàkiri láti wípé ká wà pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ ìyá wa. Náà gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun náà láti kiri káàkiri.
In his remarks, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola expressed gratitude to members of TIGME all over the world, particularly in Osun, for their unflinching support and cooperation, saying their endorsement was an appreciation of the little things God had made him to do. He described this endorsement for a second term as an encouragement to do more, just as he promised not to disappoint them.
àwọn kan sọ pé ṣó máa ṣe é ṣe bó ló ti fẹ́ rówó oṣù san owó àwọn tó fẹ̀yìntì bó ló ti fẹ́ rí san ó pé kó ṣe nǹkan sílùú. mo láyọ̀ láti sọ fún mi pé fún ọdún mẹ́ta àbọ̀ tá a ti wà lórí àlééfà yìí owó oṣù àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ó ń lọ déédéé bẹ́ẹ̀ là ń ṣọ̀nà tẹ́ bá wo ibi tá a wà sí ìsàlẹ̀ bí ẹ̀rí ọ̀nà afárá tá a ṣe àkọ́kọ́ irú ẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun lélẹ̀ oúnjẹ ń lọ déédéé àti kíló fúnlé àti iṣẹ́ ìsọ́pà fún oúnjẹ fún yàn mo pé àwọn kan wà tí wọ́n ṣe aláìní lọ títí láti jẹun a lè má lè bọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó wà ń lu wa àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan wà tí a ti ẹ̀lì máa náwó sí tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé nǹkan tí Ọlọ́run lọ́wọ́ sí nìyẹn.
Similarly, traditional rulers under the aegis of Network of Kings from Osun countrysides have unanimously endorsed the candidature of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, saying he is the most qualified among the contestants. The kings lauded the governor for extending and expanding the frontier of socioeconomic and infrastructure development to the grassroots, adding that the monumental achievements of the government had further stimulated the rural economy. Speaking after their meeting with the governor in Osogbo, the chairman board of trustees, Network of Kings from Osun countrysides, Oba Adekunle Adeogun Okunye, said the decision to endorse the governor was in view of his prudent tendency, meek character, and administrative acumen in managing the affairs of the state amid scarce resources. Oba Okoye, who doubles as the Eburu of Iba, said the governor's excellent performance after a critical evaluation of his people-oriented programs and policies earned him the collective endorsement of the monarchs across the nooks and crannies of the state. In his response, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola expressed gratitude to the monarchs for their unflinching support and concerns about the development of the state. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed satisfaction over the preparedness of the Commission towards the conduct of the governorship election coming up next week, Saturday, in Osun State. Professor Yakubu, who stated this during an assessment visit to Osun, reaffirmed INEC's commitment towards conducting a free, fair, credible election in the state. Oluwatobiloba Odunoga has the details.
Officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State moved down to their career airports in their numbers with great excitement to welcome their boss, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, who came for an assessment visit so as to ascertain the preparedness of INEC at the forthcoming gubernatorial election in the state. In his remarks, Professor Mahmoud Yakub noted that it has been the tradition of the Commission that whenever a major off-cycle election is fast approaching, the Commission comes for a readiness assessment visit. He added that the Commission assessment officers will look into the facilities to ensure they are in order and prepare for the election. He added that his team will also monitor the mock accreditation exercise using the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS. The INEC boss maintained that the Commission will be meeting with some major stakeholders, including the traditional rulers, the security agencies, transporters, and religious leaders, among others.
It has been the tradition of the Commission that whenever a major off-cycle election is around the corner, we come for readiness assessment visit. So this time around, we are on a readiness assessment visit, meaning that we are going to look at our facilities to ensure that the facilities are prepared for the election.
Professor Yakub, who was flanked by the state resident electoral commissioner, Professor Abdulgani Raji, and other directors and members of the commission, noted that there will be another visit after the assessment where he will call for stakeholders meeting and the signing of peace accord. Professor Yakub maintained that they are satisfied with the arrangement made so far by the state rec, Professor Raji, including the briefings of the security agencies.
We are satisfied with the arrangement, particularly the briefings that we received from the security agencies. We met with them yesterday and consistently from our office. But we have come to see things for ourselves practically. So we are going to look at what we have done in order to review our readiness for the Osun election in terms of practical things we have done on the ground.
He reaffirmed the INEC's readiness in devoting their energy and dedication to ensure the conduct of a free, fair, transparent, peaceful, and conclusive election in the state. Oluwatobiloba Odunoga reporting for OSBC News.
A coalition of stakeholders from the Northeast region in the ruling All Progressives Congress have asked the party to pick the running mate of the party's presidential candidate Bola Tinubu from the North Central. The stakeholders said this would not only enable the party to win the 2023 presidential election, but help bring to the fore the party's respect for fairness, equity, and justice. Speaking to journalists after a meeting in Abuja, the national coordinator of Northeast APC Stakeholders Coalition, Abba Suleiman, described the demand by its counterparts from the Northwest to be considered for the vice presidential candidate position as a gross display of insensitivity to the relevance of other regions in the scheme of things in the party. The loyalists of Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike have listed conditions for the resolution of the crisis in the People's Democratic Party. Supporters of the governor in separate interviews with newsmen said it is not late for the PDP's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, to revisit the issue of his running mate by dropping the Delta State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, whom he picked last month. Reports say as the crisis over Atiku's running mate worsened, the chairman of the PDP's Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibrin, said the party had set up a 9-member committee to beg Wike. Sequel to his victory at the PDP convention where he beat Wike and other contenders to the presidential ticket, Atiku had nominated Okowa as his running mate despite the recommendation of Wike by a 17-man committee set up by the party. It was gathered that the certain chieftains of the party, including the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, ex-Plateau State Governor, Jonah Jang, and others had criticized the choice of Okowa as the party's vice presidential candidate. There were reports that Wike snubbed a former Minister of Police Affairs and ally of Atiku, Adamu Waziri, who attempted to initiate a peace talk with him in Turkey. Few days to the Eid al-Kabir celebration, commercial activities are in top gear. OSBC News went around some markets in Osogbo, the state capital, and observed that despite the high rate of inflation, Muslims are getting ready for the important festival. OSBC News reporter Oluchi Amuda completes the story.
In a couple of days, Muslims all over the world will be celebrating the Eid al-Kabir. One of the major features of the celebration is the slaughtering of rams. OSBC News observation reveals that rams are being sold at almost every street in the state capital, Osogbo. A visit to some of the ram markets in Shasha, Amajiya, Sabo, Okebale, among other areas, showed that the prices of the product ranges from between 250,000 naira, which is the highest, to 80,000 naira for the lowest price.
250, 220, Jale.
Similarly, OSBC News was at Igbono Market to ascertain the prices of foodstuff, clothes, shoes, and everything needed for the celebration. While some traders complained of low patronage, others said they have been smiling to the banks because of the high patronage occasioned by the forthcoming Eid al-Kabir festival.
Complaining now. It's all over the world, so they are complaining that this thing is too cost. So and we are telling them that the price is no more like that.
The traders are optimistic that the high rate of inflation notwithstanding, their businesses will experience boom during the period. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
Some Nigerians have called on the federal government and other stakeholders in the security sector to go back to the drawing board so as to put all security networks together to fight the incessant attacks mitigating the growth of the country. They made the call while speaking with OSBC News as they expressed mixed reactions on the Arewa Development Forum backings to the call for self-defense by a northern state governor. Our reporter, Oluwatobi Loba Odunuga, has more.
The Arewa Development Forum for Peace and Justice has joined other groups to support the call by Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawali for residents to acquire guns to defend themselves against bandits and other invasion in their communities. The group, in a statement issued by its executive chairman, Alhaji Subar Mustafa, called on governors in the north to follow the steps taken by Matawali in setting up community-based vigilante volunteers to complement efforts of security agencies in the region. This issue of self-defense has continued to generate diverse opinion from all quarters. In a submission, while speaking with OSBC News, a legal practitioner, Mr. Bukola Onifade, who is against the decision, maintained that giving licenses to people will cause a lot of disarray in the society. Mr. Onifade, who condemned the incessant attack and invasion in some parts of the country, noted that the first priority of a government is to secure the lives and properties of its citizenry.
Because government has failed in their responsibility to protect lives and properties. If we at all, if it's in our constitution, I will not support that. We are not mature to that level to allow us in Nigeria to be carried on to forsake the job.
Also, in his opinion, another legal practitioner, Mr. Bode Babalola, who supported the call for self-defense, maintained that the government has failed in protecting the citizens. Mr. Babalola stated further that if all government functionaries are heavily guided by armed forces, how much more the ordinary citizens who cannot fight for themselves, stressing that he is in support of self-defense.
It's right. Government laws only affect the honest, law-abiding citizens. Don't have arms. What about the miscreants outside there? The kidnappers, they are well armed, fortified. If government can't control them, why must government insist that we must remain defenseless?
They are therefore urged the federal government to stand up to its responsibilities in securing the lives and properties of the citizens. Oluwa Tobiloba Odunuga, reporting for OSBC News.
You are welcome to our sports segment. The Super Falcons and Bayana will this evening slug it out in a highly anticipated Group C encounter at the 2022 African Women's Cup of Nations holding at the Prince Etia Moulay El Hassan Stadium in Rabat. Oluwaranti Ojewumi is standing by for details of.
Between Super Falcons and Bayana of South Africa will hold at the Prince Etia Moulay El Hassan Stadium in Rabat. It will be recalled that the Super Falcons defeated the Bayana 4-3 on penalties in the final of the competition 4 years ago in Ghana. South Africa has however had the upper hand in recent outings between both teams as Bayana won 2 and lost 1. Bayana head coach Desire Ellis emphasized the importance of getting a good result in the opening game of the competition this evening. She added that the first game of the tournament is always the biggest game and it makes it better because it is against the friendly champions Nigeria, which makes the game bigger than what it is supposed to be. Meanwhile, Arsenal have completed the signing of Brazil forward Gabriel Jesus on a long-term contract from Premier League champions Manchester City. The fee for the 25-year-old is understood to be £45 million, and he moves to the Emirates after undergoing a medical and agreeing personal terms. Jesus will wear the number 9 shirt recently vacated by Alexander Lacazette, who left for Lyon on a free transfer. The Gunners put in nearly 6 months of work with Jesus representative Marcelo Pettinati to ensure they were in pole position to recruit him from City this summer. It becomes the North London club's 4th signing of the summer following the additions of Fabio Vieira, Matt Turner and Marquinhos. Arsenal technical director Edo said the club is delighted that they have secured the transfer of Gabriel Jesus, and everyone knows football that the qualities of Gabriel Jesus could not be quantified. Mikel Arteta, who is the coach of the club, said he is excited that the club has done a tremendous job to recruit a player of his stature. Oluwaranti Ojewumi for OSBC.
Now moving on to the foreign scene. At least 3 people have been killed and several more have been wounded in a shooting at a shopping mall in the Danish capital, Copenhagen. This and more on the foreign scene are packaged by Temitope Abdulkarim.
Police Inspector Soren Thomason told newsmen that a 22-year-old Danish man was arrested over the shooting and charged with manslaughter. He said there was no indication that anyone else was involved in the attack, adding that it was too early to speculate on a motive for the shooting. It was gathered that the attack rocked Denmark at the end of an otherwise joyful week, just after it hosted the first 3 stages of the Tour de France cycle race. Meanwhile, Danish police noted that the suspect was known to mental health services, as the victims appeared to have been randomly targeted, and there was nothing to indicate it was an act of terror. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has acknowledged that his forces have withdrawn from the burnt-out city of Lysychansk, the last Ukrainian stronghold in the eastern Luhansk province, but he pledged to regain control of the lost territory with the help of long-range Western weapons. Russia said its capture of Lysychansk less than a week after taking neighboring Severodonetsk gave it full control of Luhansk, a political win that meets a key Kremlin war goal. In the meantime, leaders of the economic community of West African states have lifted economic and financial sanctions imposed on Mali after its military rulers proposed a 24-month transition to democracy and published a new electoral law. The bloc imposed stiff sanctions on Mali in January after the military government said it would not organize democratic elections the following month as initially planned. ECOWAS Commission President Jean-Claude Cassibrel told a news conference that the sanctions will be lifted immediately and borders with Mali will reopen and regional diplomats will return to Bamako. It would be recalled that sanctions have crippled Mali's economy, raising humanitarian concerns and widespread suffering. The West African leaders meeting in Accra also accepted a pledge from the military that seized power in Burkina Faso to restore constitutional order in 24 months. Temitope Abdulkarim, OSBC News.
And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Temitope Abdulkarim. I'm Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola. Thank you for watching. The Yoruba version of the news comes up in a moment. Good night.